So George, thanks for sitting down with us today. To start off, please could you introduce yourself with your name and job role?
Yeah, I'm George Friend and I'm Director of Football at Bristol Rovers.
And what does your job entail here?
So first and foremost, I'd say I am there to support the head coach, Inigo Calderon. I'm also the conduit between him and the board and making sure he's in the best position to perform and have everything available to him to succeed at the club. On top of that, I run things at the training ground and look after the staff and the players there when needed. We have a really good setup at the training ground and I like to help drive the performance, but hope that you can leave most things to obviously the head coach and all the capable staff as well. With the other side of the role, and people probably perceive it as majority recruitment, that is a part of it as well, but we have a recruitment department that look after that side, and I will help work closely with them, and especially even more so when the window's open, to make sure we get the right people in and out. And then in general it's the strategy side, so trying to build things sustainably with a club model and a game model to make sure on and off the pitch we're sustainable but keep performing.
And please could you tell us about your career and experiences so far and how they led you to Bristol Rovers?
Yeah, so with my career, it pretty much started and finished playing wise with Bristol Rovers. So as a 9-year-old, I joined a man called Roy Dolling, who a lot of the older fans probably know more than the younger ones, but he saw me from a Jerry Francis soccer school in North Devon. I came up to, I think the training ground then was called the Beaches in Brislington, which was very red mud like clay, and I always remember it because it used to go all over your legs and your boots, a nightmare to wash off. And I was in that same youth team then as Scott Sinclair. Unfortunately I couldn't stay that long because it was too much of a drive for my parents to take up there, but I have that initial connection with Bristol Rovers, which is really nice. I went to a game where Jamie Curriton was playing and it was against Wrexham, and it's quite apt as well because that was a fixture that's happened this year for us as well, which has been a special one with a good result at home against them. So started there, and then I won't go on about my playing career because it's not particularly interesting, but I played all through the leagues, National League, to end up captaining Middlesbrough in the Premier League. And throughout that time, I had a keen eye on recruitment and coaching. I took a player coach role at Birmingham, but also throughout my career, last 10 plus years, I've been doing a lot of recruitment, whether that's courses and forming my own ideas on how I want a role to look like when I retire. Hence, after discussions here and finishing my playing career at Bristol Rovers, it was great to be able to move into a role like this.
And what did you and your team achieve in 2024?
So initially it was, I guess, thrust upon me to get straight into it with the summer transfer window. There were 20 players out, 16 players came in. It was the busiest and one of the toughest challenges I've gone through in a football capacity, but also a lot of enjoyable work and great to bring in some amazing characters. We've had players and characters that have come in that I feel have really improved us as a club. There's also staff involved in that we've brought in. So a new head of medical with championship experience in Andrew Proctor, who's really helped that department. We've also got Dave Horseman, who's an incredible development coach, worked in the Premier League, top academies, both local to Bristol as well, which I think is really important. We've also brought in a new head of analysis on the performance analysis side, which is fantastic, in Lewis Needham. And most recently, we've brought in a sports psychology coach as well. And these are all things to help improve the club, but also bring better performance and aid the players to put them in the best condition they can be in. So that's been a big part of it. And then the recruitment department, I was tasked with building that, and Chris Benlove, who was here before, has become head of recruitment, doing a fantastic job. We've also brought in a recruitment analyst slash technical scout, Alfie Sparks, who again has done really well and is really helping the club a lot. And then more recently brought in a data scientist, because with recruitment you have to have the data side, in my opinion. Now we're not data led, but we're data informed, and I think that's a really big part, and Dylan, who we've brought in on that, has been superb. So lots of additions in that sense, but we feel we're bringing a bit of a structure and processes to it all, and hopefully over time we'll see that succeed, because certainly in terms of recruitment it takes a bit more time. And I have to say the board's ambition to bring staff on, into the club in the same capacity as you're seeing with some of these other videos with John, Richie, Mitch, these guys, there's the personnel in there to help deliver. So yeah, there is ambition at the club, and we want to make sure all the departments are right to make sure we can succeed on the pitch. In terms of other sides in 2024, built a game model. So for those that may not be familiar with the term, it's a way of playing, not a rigid style, but a way of playing that we want to see going forward for the club, and this will end up making us more sustainable in that respect. So it means whoever's in charge over time, the recruitment remains the same, but the way we play remains the same, and there isn't huge turnover every year. And it also helps our assets grow in a certain way of playing. And then finally, I'd say in 2024, what we've really tried to do is bridge that gap between the academy and the first team. We've seen the likes of Kofi Shaw sign a new contract and then go out on loan and do well. He's doing remarkably well at Yeovil. Jed's the same out at Forest Green. We've got Dan Ellison, Mackay Anthony, unfortunately is back injured, but he again was out on loan. And even young Quincy Dixon's been on the bench twice in the FA Cup. So I like to think there's been good progress there in getting these lads closer to the first team, and that is definitely an objective for the board over time, which I want to help achieve.
And what do you hope to achieve in 2025?
So sticking with the academy, I'd love to see more players come through and more debuts and more impact on the first team, and we have a few players close to that. I actually forgot to mention Ollie Dewsbury in the last question as well, who's doing so well, playing his first experience of men's football and recently gone on loan to Taunton Town. So that's a big thing for me, the academy side. And I think as well, going into the summer window in 2025, we'd love to add more balance to the squad, which I always said with the owners, and they agreed that it's going to take a few windows to find that, especially with the big overhaul in the last summer. But we're really excited about that. We want to match the ambition that they have with the infrastructure, new training ground where we are now, and the stadium. It'd be great to get that on the pitch as well and have the players to execute that. I think we're on our way there, and we appreciate the fans. They've been patient because we've signed a lot of young players, but I think they can see what the remit is and what we've been doing. I'd also like to explore the wildcard options, which is the players from abroad. We have 2 spots that we can use, and I think that would be a real exciting time for the club to look into the international market. And that's something, if the right person's there or people are there, that's what we'd look to do in 2025. And I think finally that the big thing from me is wanting to build that connection between club and fans. We worked really hard in recruiting Caldi, our head coach, who's an amazing character. We've worked really hard behind the scenes with the staff and with the players to want to build that connection more and more. I hope the fans appreciate that and see that a little bit, but I want to build on that more because I know how important that is. I've made contact with some ex-employees, legends of the club. I won't name all of them who they are, but I've had good chats with them to try and find out more on the history of the club in that sense and what it takes and their experiences and what they've done, and they've been really helpful. There's so much passion in the area for that, and they've given a lot of good advice, and we hope we can build on that connection because more recently we feel like it's got stronger, and that's a big motivation for me for 2025.